The Isle of Man, a place of curiosities and contrasts. But until they get here, most people imagine it to be all cats, candy floss, kippers and TT races. Douglas, the big resort, has day and night action. Beyond lie hills and glens for walking and pony trekking, deserted sandy coves, little harbours for sailors and fishermen. And trout streams like the Silver Burn. Here at Ballasala it flows under the 14th century Monk's Bridge, past the ruins of Rushen Abbey and the Gilby stables. Now, a rip-roaring racing motorbike may be a quicker way of getting round the TT course, but for the lanes and byways, give me a dignified landau and the clip-clop of horses' hooves. For 100 years, the Gilby horses were known in England for their perfect turnout. Now, Walter Gilby has moved them to his Manx farm. Visitors can see them in summer at these stables, together with his fine collection of old carriages and wagons, all kept in perfect condition. The horses are not quite as high-spirited as their names suggest. Brandy, whiskey, vodka, and of course, gin. You can hire horses and carriage with uniformed coachman and groom for weddings, or just a leisurely trip around Manx countryside. This landau, which last century aristocrats used for formal occasions, takes 4 passengers. It costs about £25 for a 2-hour run. But for 20p you can ride in a splendid exercise brake. There's a similar one called a charabanc, which gave its name to the early motor coaches. In winter, the horses retire to Mr. Gilby's farm for hunting. He's master of the Isle of Man bloodhounds. 3 of these doleful chaps are grandsons of television's Henry. The hounds do hunt, but not foxes, people. In summer, they track the scent of local athletes, who are apparently only too happy to add the thrill of the chase to what would otherwise be routine training sessions. The kill, I'm told, is nothing worse than a severe licking. The Isle of Man, or Man as it's often called locally, is a sporting isle. There are motorbike and cycle races, a walking race around the TT course, festivals of football, rugby, hockey and bowls, angling contests and 5 golf courses. The island's hills are made for riding and pony trekking. You can learn to ride a horse for £1.50 an hour at the nearby riding school. The island is strong on nostalgia. The 3-foot gauge railway, born 1873, is still steaming. This locomotive is 102 years old. Once there were 47 miles of track. Now trains run just 7 miles between Ballasala, the old capital of Castletown, and Port Erin, a small resort noted for sailing. There's a museum of engines and some lovely old carriages at Port Erin too. Horsepower has pulled the trams along Douglas Promenade for more than a century now. There are 69 tram horses and they're rested and groomed after 3 journeys. They have a retirement home as well. Now this sort of open tram is called a toast rack. There are closed ones for nastier weather, like number 44, which has carried the Queen. The double-decker ran until 1946. They call it the Halfpenny Up, Penny Down. And only daring girls climbed the stairs to reveal their ankles. Now the trip up the promenade costs 17p and we girls wear tights. Generations of children have played on the superb sands of Douglas and explored the seaweed-covered rocks and pools at low tide. For cooler days, there's an aquadrome with 2 heated pools, sauna, Turkish bath and a Russian vapour bath. But for most visitors to the island, a Manx holiday means seaside. There are dozens of night spots in Douglas. The nightclub in the new hotel over there stays open until 5 a.m. and so does the casino. For £1 entrance and £1 membership, you can test your luck throughout the night. You'll need money and plenty of stamina too. Once a private house, Villa Marina on the promenade is the main entertainment centre. band shows, children's shows, all-in wrestling, stage shows with a string of visiting stars, and a disco taking 2,000 people. Most visitors stay in the small family-run hotels that pack the promenade. Many come on package tours, both by sea and air, from all over Britain. In summer, 4 airlines and 6 sea routes serve the island, and 2,000 travel agents in Britain offer holidays approved by the Manx Tourist Board. An average private hotel charges around £4 a day for full board in summer. In May, June and September, there are special fortnights for senior citizens at cut-rate prices. They start at £38 a week with full board and sea passage included, £56 for a fortnight. The new sea terminal is the pride of Douglas. It handles around 900,000 passengers a year and has a crow's nest restaurant. Ships come in from Liverpool, Fleetwood, Belfast, Dublin, Llandudno and Ardrossan in Scotland. 4 of these 7 boats are car carriers, and they're all captained and manned by Manx men. Return fare is £15 from all 6 ports, and an average family car costs £36 return. Many visitors tumbling off the boats are on a day excursion, costing £4 with no luggage allowed. A few, alas, don't get far past the bars opposite. The local licensing laws are very generous and tempting too. The bars open at 10:30 in the morning and stay open all day until 10:45 at night. On Sunday, though, they're just open for 3.5 hours. The island is a self-governing country under the Crown. It has its own parliament, it makes its own laws, its own postage stamps and money. Don't worry though, they take our money too. From the top of Snay Fell, 2,034 feet up, you can see Scotland, Wales and England on a clear day. There are only 2 ways up there. You can walk or catch the unique electric railway from Douglas Promenade. The journey gives magnificent views of the island. The electric railway goes along the coast to Ramsey, passing Growdle Glen. Here, only 2 miles from Douglas, you can find peace and freedom in these new self-catering cottages. They sleep 6 in normal home comfort and spaciousness and are really good enough to live in all the year round. They have coloured bathrooms, wall-to-wall carpeting, good kitchens, and many have central heating too. They cost £85 a week in July and August, down to £25 from November to April, including 1 hour's maid service a day. One warning, they don't take dogs or parties of young males or females. And if you fancy cooking fish for supper, drive to Lake Fisheries at St John's and catch yourself a trout. You'll never find it easier. This lake jumps with fish. You pay £1.50 to try your skill, £1 if you're under 16, and you can hire a rod for 25p. You can take away 2 fish from your catch, and at the current price of trout, that's some bargain. There are 150,000 fish on the farm and about 12,000 in this pool alone. And if you don't know a fishing rod from a beanpole, buy a bag of fish food for 5p and watch them rise. A former schoolmaster, Ian Ross, set up this trout farm 5 years ago. He exports trout eggs and young trout by the million to stock rivers. His secret? The Isle of Man has possibly the only totally disease-free trout in Europe. One of Man's first tourists was St Patrick. He landed in AD 444 on this hill at Peel, on his way to civilise the Irish. It was then an island, and they called it after him. He sent his friend Germanus to build a cathedral, which still stands, minus roof and windows. The castle surrounding it was started in the 10th century to repel attacks by Vikings, Irish, English and French, but mostly the Scots, called Redshanks and strictly forbidden immigrants. The most unwelcome tourists, though, were the Vikings from Norway, who arrived here in AD 798 in their war galleys and stormed the Celtic holy places. They made off with an assortment of souvenirs ranging from church gold plate to local girls. Each July, the men of Peel relive the scene, sweeping in from the sea to storm the town. Well, nowadays, the boats from Scotland catch herring for Peel's kipper smokeries. Then the tourists buy a box of kippers to take home as a souvenir. Peel is the centre of the Manx kipper industry. In 7 smokeries, they gut the fish by machine, soak them in brine, then smoke them for hours over wood chippings, hung on spikes called tenterhooks. Abroad, Manx kippers are an expensive delicacy. Here you get 4 in a box for about 50p. For a more permanent souvenir, you could take home a Manx cat, but that would set you back about £35. The sailor who first brought these rudderless cats to this isle in the 17th century did a great job for Manx publicity. Nobody knows where he got them. Dare I say it? It's still a mystery tale.